What's up guys, macadii here, and today guys, my Season 5 draft analysis for the GPC. So if you guys are excited, don't forget to leave a like down below, I would really appreciate it. I apologise this is slightly late, I just got back from Worlds and had to recover from the flu and all of that stuff. So it is probably sort of, I think we're into week 2 right now, so I apologise, the uploads have been delayed and also the draft analysis has been delayed, but hopefully you guys we'll still be able to keep up with the matches and all of that really good stuff. So what we're going to do is run through, first of all, how the drafting system works. It's completely different to anything I've done before. Normally, I've done it like tier-based, where you draft, 2 tier 1s, 2 tier 2s, all of that stuff. Whereas this is slightly different. You get 100 points in total, and every single mon has got a price that you can pay for it. And basically, you go through the draft and you just buy as many mons as you want. And obviously each round you get to buy 1 mon, and you have to finish with at least 8 to 12 Pokemon. So you can either have like 10 Pokemon that are sort of medium, that average out to be like a medium price, or you could, average slightly more expensively, get less Pokemon but you get more power, or you can sort of stretch your budget a little bit, buy more value picks, but then obviously none of them are as good as the most expensive ones from there. So what we'll do now is run through how the draft sort of went through, my picks and my sort of thoughts throughout. So I started off planning to have some sort of like Volt Tourney, lots of power, sort of wall breaking draft, potentially around like Mega Medicham, something like that, which could have been really good fun. But I was 9th in the draft, so I was like, I'm not expecting to get any power, things like Mega Lopunny, Landorus, Mega Venusaur, they're all going to be gone by the time I get there. But it got to me in round 9, and it ended up transpiring that Landorus our first pick incidentally, was not taken, and I was like, I've waited so long to try and get a Landorus to try it out in Draft League format. Here's my opportunity, I'm going to give it a go. So, as you can see, our first pick here is Landorus, which was a total of 18 points. It was quite an expensive first buy, but I think it's going to be definitely worth it. The fact to get sheer force, the sheer power of this guy, the whole discussion about whether he's broken or not. This way I get to give him a go and actually see just how powerful he is. I've been looking at the calcs, it's absolutely crazy the amount of damage output. You have to make some predictions because obviously levitate users and stuff like that. Almost every single team has a ground immunity, so you've got to make sure you get your predictions right with that, but still this guy hits like an absolute truck. 101 speed's really nice with that, great mixed offenses, decent bulk as well. Like, it's really underestimated how much bulk Landorus has. It's really quite tricky to try and revenge kill reliably, outside of obviously 4 times weak ice moves, but everything else is going to be doing a reasonable amount, but not tons. So overall, very happy with this pick. It gives me a Rock Polish user if I want to, a Calm Mind user, just an all-round, like, it comes in, it does insane amounts of damage, and you can get it out again. It's got a U-turn as well, and I think as a pivot, it's really underappreciated. So I'm really excited to give this guy a go. I apologise if I keep coughing during this. I'm still trying to recover from my flu, so that might be why I'm talking a little bit more quietly than I normally do, and also obviously the coughing and stuff like that. So that's what I started with, and I was really happy with that first round. I had to rewrite my entire draft plan, but it was worth it to get Landorus in my opinion. So the next pick that I wanted, I still wanted some sort of pivot and a bulky water and something like that, and a Pokemon that I use quite a lot, especially up in OU, that I feel I could use well, and I've wanted to try out in League format as well, and that is Rotom Wash. So Rotom Wash is really nice to me. It gives me a ice, switch in for Landorus. It gives me a really nice bulky pivot. This guy's got, decent speed. You can run it Scarf, you can run it offensive, you can run it defensive, even sort of specialty defensive, that sort of stuff, and it's overall just, really nice solid defenses, gives me a really good wall, but also, as I said, a pivot as well, and I'm a really big fan of Volt Turn and all of that good stuff. Water plus electricity is a really good sort of type mixture as well, because a lot of the ground types are weak to water, so if they fail, you fail to Volt Switch on them, you can still then hit them up with a Hydro Pump and things like that. So overall, I think should fit really well with Landorus, and just as in general, it's got decent synergy. Gives me another ground immunity. You can never have too many ground immunities. So overall, I'm just really happy with that pick, and hopefully Rotom Wash is going to do as well as he does with me when I'm doing OU stuff and things like that. Next up, we've got Latios. So I really wanted some sort of defogger, and I was like, oh, I know the Lati Twins are still available, which was crazy. Round 3 Lati Twins is always a good thing, so I was like, is there any other way that I can get rid of hazards? Now, I'm really picky when it comes to hazard removal. I'm absolutely terrible, I must admit. Like, a lot of the hazard removal I always have problems with. Like, things like, I look at Mandibuzz, I'm like, oh, I don't like how passive it is. And, you know, other things, like, I'm not a big fan of Gligar, and, let's see, what's it called? Excadrill, because, obviously, without the sand and stuff like that. But I didn't want to draft anything with sand, so I was like, ugh. I really want a good defogger, but I'm just so picky. So I was like, right, fine. I know I always try and pick up Lati Twins, but I'm going to go for it, stick to old habits, and I'm going to pick up Latios. So I picked up Latios here. Really, really nice. Gives me a really nice offensive core alongside Landorus, because I can drop Dracos and so many things. Landorus Wall Breaks a lot of the steel types, hits fairies really hard, you know, a combination of earth power and also sludge wave as well. Does huge damage to fairies, so overall a really nice core. I know I've got quite a bit of an ice weakness going on, but Rotom helps patch that up quite a lot. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. Next up, I realised I needed some sort of rocks options, and also, if I could get some more hazard removal, why not? So I decided to go for Fortress. So I'm a big fan of Fortress as well, you guys know from the DSL, and it has a really good core with Rotom as well, because Rotom's able to switch into any of those, you know, fire type moves. Same with Latios as well, so I've got a lot of fire type switch-ins as well. But the thing that's really, really cool is that a lot of the time people try and pack HP Fires for Fortress, and they try and pack HP Ices for Landorus, but they can't pack both. That's the thing. So one Mon might be able to set up to deal with Fortress, but it then can't deal with Landorus as well. So that's going to be really, really useful, and Rotom is able to switch into both sets of hidden powers without taking barely any damage at all. So that's really, really nice. This guy gives me almost every single form of hazards outside of Sticky Web. So that's really nice. I've got Spikes, T-Spikes, Stealth Rock, Rapid Spin. It gives me another pivot with Volt Switch, which is really, really nice. And yeah, just overall a pick I'm really comfortable using, and I've always really, really enjoyed using Fortress, especially in League format. So at this point here, I was looking at it and I was like, right, I've got a good amount of bulk, but I probably still need a little bit more bulk, and I also want a really good fairy type. So I had a look at what fairies were left. There was like Florges, there was a Aromatisse, those were the main ones I think that were left. Sylveon was taken. I really wanted Sylveon, so I was really disappointed that I wasn't able to get that. I think that went round 3 if I remember rightly, so that was a real pain. As I said, I really, really wanted that guy. So I decided to settle on Florges. So Florges, I'm not the most excited for, I must admit. It's got flaws, like I feel it's very, very one-dimensional. When you look at its move pool, it's got a very, very shallow move pool. Like, it has a few grass moves, fairy moves, and I think it gets extra sensory, and that's basically it. So most of the time it is going to be that very much that wall, either that or I can run it Calm Mind if I really wanted to. But overall, not the most exciting Pokemon in the world, I must admit. But it gives me a Wish Passer, gives me a solid fairy, so it does tick boxes, I must admit. And it gives me a really nice Dragon Steel fairy core in the form of Latios, Fortress, and Florges. So I can't complain, really. Just hopefully should be a sort of solid guy doing a bit of work, but nothing too exciting or anything more than that, really. So after this pick here, I had a think and I was like, right, this might be the chance for me to have a look and see what Mega I want. My original plan was Mega Medicham, and I was like, it still fits, so I could go for that. But I was looking at my points, and at this point, I didn't have too much in terms of points left. Let me see, I think I had 30 points after Florges, which, considering I've already spent 70 points in the first 5 picks, I was like, oh, maybe Mega Medicham, because it was very expensive. I think it's 16 points, so I was like, I don't think I can afford to blow my budget on another really, really high cost one. So I had a look through and had a look to see if there was any Megas that I was interested in that were cheap, and I managed to find one that was actually really, really low in terms of points, but I felt would still be doing a decent amount of work. So I was like, okay, I'll go for that, but I'll hold off because most people already picked their Megas by now, so we'll pick that later on. So I'll show you guys later on what the Mega was. But because I was able to then get a cheaper Mega, I was able to still get a really good fighting type. So I decided to go for Terrakion. So Terrakion fills quite a few different roles within this team. It gives me a really, really nice wall breaker, which I guess you could argue I've still got with Landorus and things like that, but this guy is really, really great. He's a great wall breaker, great cleaner, great setup sweeper. I can give a sub SD, rock polish, all of that really good stuff. Not the most diverse in terms of move pool, but this guy does one thing and he does it well, and that's be a fast, powerful fighting type. And late game can be really, really great to clean up, opposing teams and stuff like that. 108 speed with 129 attack is really, really nice. So hopefully this guy's going to be putting into work. I also have things like Justified, so I can switch it to Knockoff, direct at Latios. He does have quite a few weaknesses though. That's the only thing that's not really going for him. And his defenses they're okay. I mean, I think they're pretty much identical to Landorus's. Yeah, he's slightly more bulky than Landorus, but still, he's got quite a few weaknesses, so that's going to be a bit of a pain. But this guy's designed not to take hits, he's designed to deal them out, basically. So, hopefully should be putting in the work from there. So what we'll do now is move over to the next page, and we'll obviously go through my next picks from there. Okay, so we're coming up to the tail end of the draft. I picked 6 Pokemon in total, but I only had 16 points left. So I still wanted to try and stretch that budget into probably like 3 or 4 Pokemon. So I finished with like 9 or 10 Pokemon because I thought that was probably the most sort of optimal amount considering how much I've already spent previously. So the next pick I decided to go for was one that I spotted ages and ages ago before the draft even started. And I was like, wow, for that amount of points, this one's definitely worth going for. And that Pokemon is Dragouge. So I decided to go for Dragouge. This guy was only 6 points, so I still have 10 points left to do my next sort of 2 or 3 picks, which is sort of certainly possible, with what I had left and what I was spying for my Mega. So Dragouge is really, really great for that amount of points. Like, overall, its stats look very, very lackluster, apart from obviously it's really, really nice for Death. But the main selling point for it is the fact it gets adaptability. Now, you guys know I'm a big fan of Exploud and things like that. What I really, really like is a Pokemon that's bulky. It can take it at least one hit, which Dragouge can most of the time, and it can just smack them back in the face. Your opponent's got 2 choices. It can either stay in, take a bit, do a bit of damage to me, but they lose that Pokemon, or they switch out and something takes absolutely insane damage. Like, even without choice specs, this guy is doing so much damage, and I absolutely love it. With that adaptability, I've got Draco Meteor, Sludge Wave. This gives me a Fairy Killer, which is really, really nice. And as I said, I know I've already got a Dragon type, but this guy still, I feel, complements the team quite a lot. And having a Pokemon that can switch into fairies and just deal absolutely crazy damage is really, really nice. It gives me a really nice special sponge that I can slap an Assault Vest on this guy, switch it into a lot of special moves, and just still deal so much damage back. So overall, our pick I'm really, really happy with. Gives me, decent switch-ins to like fire types and stuff like that, but still, an absolutely crazy nuke at the same time. Gives me more T-Spike options, which is really nice. A decent physical move pool, which I was surprised at when I first had a look at. Gunk Shot, Outrage, that sort of stuff, which, could be possible to use. The Toxic Spikes and stuff like that is going to be really, really useful, for more hazard setting if I want to. So I've got a lot of hazard stack options going on, which I really, really like with this team. I think that's pretty much it in terms of what I want to say for Dragouge. But yeah, overall, a nice, bulky, powerful nuke, which I feel complements the team quite well. So at this point, I decided to go for my Mega Pokemon. Now this Pokemon, as I said, was really, really cheap. Only 6 points for this Mega, which I feel was also really undervalued. So I decided to try and nab that one as well. And that is Mega Houndoom. Now Mega Houndoom for 6 points, I think is an absolute steal. When you look at the, the base speed of 115 on this guy and 140 special attack, that's really, really nice. It doesn't, I must admit, it's not going to do like masses. I'm not expecting him to be like how a lot of teams are, where like the Mega is put on the pedestal and that's your like most powerful Pokemon and everyone's got to try and prep for it and worry about it and stuff like that. I still think it's a really solid Pokemon. Like, I would still put it up with like, sort of maybe not Terrakion level, but like, 12, 13 points. I would feel it's, could potentially be valued at. But if it was just like a standard Pokemon, but I think it's the fact that it's your Mega as well decreases its points. Because obviously, that if you want this one as the Mega, you can't have another Pokemon and run it as a Mega as well. But if you just want one Mega and you want value, I think this guy's going to be absolutely fantastic. The fact that it's got that great speed with that special attack, it gives me you know, a very powerful fire type. I'm terrible at not drafting fire types, and offensively fire type is a really nice typing, especially coupled with that dark type. Now if you look at a lot of my Pokemon, things like Landorus, Latios, Terrakion, and also I guess to an extent Duragouge, they all suffer a lot from really bulky psychic types. Bulky psychic types with Levitate is one of the best ways to handle Landorus. So having a Pokemon that can come in, do insane amounts of damage to them with Dark Pulse, I think is really good. And just as I said, overall complements their overall weakness to bulky psychic types, and just fits the team really nicely from there. It gives me a nice nasty plot user, gives me a really good. He doesn't have the best move pool in the world, I think, but you know, and his abilities sort of meh, unless I decide to try and set up the sun. But in any case, that would still have to be a manual way. But I mean, it's certainly possible. The main moves, obviously, I'll be running are like Fire Stab, Dark Stab, and then potentially one more coverage move, and then like Sub or Nasty Plot and stuff like that. It gets Sludge Wave, so it can hit fairies even harder, which is nice. So I don't always have to bring Dragouge if I have to worry about fairies. So overall, yeah, a pick I'm really happy with. For the points, I think it's an absolute steal when I compare it to all of the other sort of, 6-point Pokemon, apart from, I guess, maybe Dragouge as well. But overall, a Pokemon I think that's definitely worth picking up. So now we're towards the end of the draft, and I had 4 points left. So I could either get like 2 2s or like 1 3-point Pokemon and 1 1-point Pokemon. But most of the 1-point Pokemons were pretty much a waste of time. It was if it was not on the draft board, then it was a 1-pointer. So I was like, if I'm going to spend the money, I might as well spend the money properly. So my final pick ended up being Electivire. Now I use this guy in the UAL, and I've always really enjoyed using it. I think I really like the speed and the, with its stats. It gives me a really nice, a nice electric immunity. I don't have to worry about, switching Landorus into electric type attacks, because typically they've got Hidden Power Ice. So that's never fun. So having a electric immunity is really nice. It's things like Vital Spirit as well can be really useful. And just overall, Electivire I'm always a really big fan of. I think for the value pick, as a value pick, I think it's really nice. The speed coupled with that attack is always really good. And, and it has a really nice move pool, which I really like. Great coverage moves. And, a fairly decent special attack as well. So I decided this guy was going to be my last guy, and gives me, fast electric type, well, relatively fast, not the fastest, but still gives me decent bulk, gives me semi-decent sort of, pretty good offenses with really nice coverage. So overall, I think for 4 points, it was worth picking up. So that is the squad that we got overall. So that's 9 Pokemon from those 100 points. So we averaged something like, what would that be, 11? Something like that. 11 times 9, 99. Yeah. So we averaged about 11 points. So we did spend quite a lot on a lot of that power. But I think overall, I think it's worth it. I would rather go for like 9 or 10 really powerful mons than go for like spread my points and get like rubbishy mons, but I still have 12 Pokemon. So, maybe I'm wrong. This is my first time doing it. So I'm going to give this way a go. May potentially change that up if I do another season and stuff like that. But overall, that is it for the draft. So, hope you guys did enjoy. I'm aiming to try and get week 1 match out tomorrow. So, hopefully you guys will be able to see this, then go straight to my week 1 match from there the next day. So, anyway, hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like. I apologize about my flu, and I will see you guys at the next one. Macadii out.